So welcome to another County Live on camera, live coming at you like Live Aid. It was Live Aid anniversary. I'm doing that. Why not?
No, do you know what I was going to say? Your background is looking it's looking like a guy who's now he's getting in the groove of filming podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. I've worked on it. That's the thing. Everything is carefully chosen. Everything. There's not a CD out of place. But we're not here to talk about me. This is County Live. It's another County Live.
Was anyone else hoping then that picture fell off when you touched it?
Yeah, everybody who's watching this, obviously. But welcome to another County Live. You've got another special interview, Chris, this time. Who have we got?
Yeah, Karim Fradin is going to join us tonight on the podcast. And it's one that, for reasons that I think you'll see in a moment, is just such a special interview. Legendary player. We don't have too many flair overseas imports. He was certainly one of them, and he typified a special time at the club.
Well, let's dive straight into that interview.
And I think that would be as good a time to start as any. Karim Fradin, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Stockport County Live. A very good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Chris.
How are you doing? First of all, before we go into the realms of football and Stockport County, how has France been the last few months? Because it's been a bit of a roller coaster time worldwide since February or so.
Yeah, sure. So excuse me for my English at first, because it's a long time I didn't speak English. Okay, Chris?
Your English is better than my French. So let's start by saying that. You're okay there.
Thank you. I do my best. And it's been difficult for everyone the last few months. In France, getting better. So containment. You say containment period in England.
Yeah.
Is over in France last few weeks.
Okay.
And now I'm living in the southwest of France, in a little town called Niortais.
And what is it you're doing down there? Because I've been doing my research and my notes, and am I right in saying you're a chairman of a club now?
Yeah, chairman and owner, of a football club for the last few years, playing in championship. Yeah, so we say League 2. But the same level than championship. We used to play in Stockport County a long time ago.
Wow. So, I mean, before we even get into the realms of Stockport County, football has really kind of propelled your whole life, hasn't it? Because you've done some coaching, haven't you? So you've gone from player to coach to boardroom. Is that right?
No, never did coaching. Never.
Oh, my mistake. But either way, football has played that significant part, hasn't it? It's been your life, it seems.
Yeah, you're right. I left Stockport in 2003 to come back in France. I played for 4 years. Before to stop my career, I was 35 years old. And after that, I did studying for 2 years. And I came back to my club where I start my football career, called Chamois Niortais. So this is a club from Niortais, a little town with 60,000 people. So it's like a little village compared to Stockport and Manchester. And in 2009, the club went down in 4th division, and we start. To recover, and now we in championship for the last 8 years.
And how is it going there overall? Are you happy there? It seems like a lovely part of the world to be playing football or to be working in football.
To be fair, it's quite similar to Stockport. We are a little club. We have to sell our best player every summer, and to have money, and we try every season to stay in championships. Quite hard, big clubs in this division, but and the last season was not very good. We were in the 18th position, but we stay in championship, so that's a good part of the story.
I want to go back to that time before Stockport County, playing in France. You're plying your trade over in your homeland. Had you ever dreamed of coming to play in England? Was that something that you realistically wanted to achieve if you cast your mind back those years?
Oh yeah, definitely, Chris. You can imagine when we young and you professional footballer, and your dream is to go to England. I mean, this is one of the best league in the world. You create football. So my dream was to come over in England. So I was playing in Nice, and I had a few injuries, especially knees injuries, and it was time for me to see something else. So I came to Stockport on trial for 6 months. I remember end of it was 1999, the year, so a long time ago.
Before we go on to County getting in touch and everything, did you, when you first started hearing of Stockport, when you first started kind of realising that something might happen here, how was that for you? We had a former player on who I'm not sure you will have crossed paths with, called Louis Cavaco a few weeks ago, Portuguese winger who didn't have a very long spell at County, but very impactful, won over many of the fans, and he was saying, it was this, like you say, it was the dream to play in England. His whole career as a kid in Portugal, he just wanted to come to England, and then it happened. And walking out on Edgeley Park and things like that, it seemed like a dream come true. When you first started hearing that there might be something happening with Stockport County, what emotions, what went through your mind?
Well, I remember first time I came over, I landed from Nice to Liverpool. Someone from the club came to pick up the car. So I came straight to Edgeley Park to watch a game in Championship against Fulham. And we won 2-1. So I remember, and the stadium was full.
Yeah,
full of people, full of fans. Yeah, it was very impressive. 12,000 or 13,000 people, and the team won against Fulham, the big club at this moment, still a big club. And I say okay. My first day in England start well, so I have to be good on training, to be good on games, to show I can stay for a long term.
And what were your first conversations with the club? What was your first dealings with them?
Oh, I remember Andy Kilner was the manager, so he gave me the opportunity to play in his team. So thanks to him. And I remember when I came over, just before the game against Fulham, I was introduced to him. We speak a few words. To be fair, I don't remember what he said to me because my English was very poor at this moment. So just few words. He was happy I was here and look at me for the next few weeks. So start quite well.
How did that link come about? How did Stockport County and Karim, where I mean, I don't know if you can remember any of this, but how did the name Karim Fradin pass through the lips of Andy Kilner or the scouting system or whatever? How did this link happen?
Oh, I'm a good friend of mine I play with called Laurent Jaffo.
Okay. Yeah.
Who play in Stockport, Bury, and Sheffield, even in Scotland, was a good friend of mine. So he spoke to his agent. So I wanted to leave Nice because things didn't happen very well for me, and so he spoke to the agent, spoke to because he was looking for a midfield player like me. So I came on trial for a few weeks. I remember my first game, it was Blackburn Rovers away. So big souvenir.
It's a good start. It's a big start, isn't it? Ewood Park.
Exactly, and a strong team. I remember. I think we lost 2-0, but the team was very strong. Blackburn was very strong. He was just relegated from Premier League, so it was still a big club.
When you think back to the players that you first got acquainted with at Stockport County, I remember as a kid at the time. I mean, I remember seeing, and I said the same thing to Louis the other week. I mean, nowadays it's fairly commonplace for players to move countries to ply their trade. back then, okay, it was starting to get into gear a little bit, but Stockport County just didn't have that many, the player coming from overseas. I wonder what he's got about him. The fans don't really know. And I remember as a kid being quite excited and then seeing you link up with certain players on the pitch, such as Kevin Cooper, for example, and thinking, wow, what a player we've got here. So when you think back to those players that you first started playing with, what sticks out, be it from on the pitch or even just in training?
To be fair, it's quite different for France. The player, I was quite. Some players were living away from Manchester. Sometimes some were driving 2 hours to come for training. In France, wow. it don't happen. You have to live in the town where you play. So some guys were living in Manchester, but just few. A lot were living in Sheffield, in not far from London, in Birmingham, I remember. But few were living in Manchester. So I remember good player like Ali Gibb. You remember Chris Ali Gibb?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Good crosses.
Yeah, very good.
And, I was very close to him because he were living in Manchester as well, like me. But a lot of players were living away from Manchester. So just training, good guys. When I came to this club and training with them, no problem to speak with them or help me with language or help me for everything. So no problem at all for that. And football is business in England, you know what I mean? So the game starts, we win, we lose, we drew, but we have to win. But after the game, we go back to house and rest and training again on Monday. So I like it a lot.
Do you have any memories of your first game at Edgeley Park? The first time you were, like you say, that you went to that game against Fulham. It's a busy, packed house. What's it like when you walk out onto the pitch for the first time as a player?
Yeah, great moment because a lot of patience, a lot of people, a lot of support. All the game, even if you lose 2 or 3-0, they still be with you. And it was, to be fair, very impressive. English fan are very impressive. Quite different from France. Some clubs are big fans. Our fans not bad, even if our stadium is quite a very old stadium. But very, very impressive support. Home and away. I remember some games away where there were 2,000 or 3,000 people traveling to support the team. It was very impressive.
And the game itself, again, to reference Louis Cavaco, like I said, we didn't have a great deal of imports, if you like, on the pitch. But Louis said it took him a little while to adapt to the game because the game in England is different than the game in Portugal or the game on the continent. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Oh, he's right. 2 months. 2 months to adapt my game, to be fair, 2 months. And I was a guy who was to do heads, tackling. I like this, but 2 months for the energy of the game. Because in England, you never stop. You can walk during game. Still running. You defend. You go to defense. You attack. It's like a basketball game in England. You know what I mean? You can in France sometimes you can walk. No, in England never walk. You're still on the move. Energy and I mean, it was my qualities to run, so it was good for me. But he's definitely right. 2 months for me to adapt my game, my qualities to the English game. Definitely.
And just looking at your time on the pitch, I mean, as a player, you had that. As I remember, you had that kind of classy move about you. You know, you could obviously work the ball well. You could find those players in space. You could open up spaces if you needed to. And if memory serves, you didn't half know where the net was when you needed to. What moments on the pitch do you recall? Because I can remember a few. I can remember this goal and this man of the match performance. But I always find it's better to ask the players because you might remember a 1-1 draw that to the fans maybe didn't mean that much, but you remember a moment in that game, and that's what we look for. But what memories stick out in your mind?
Oh, a lot. I stay 3.5 years in Stockport, so it's one of the best moments in my life, because my family like Stockport, Manchester. We bought house not far from Manchester, so we like a lot to live in England as well. So it's quite important when your family is feeling well in this place. But a lot of good memories. I remember my goal away against Queen's Park Rangers when we won 3-0. With loads of fans behind the goal from Stockport County. It was I scored the second one, so it was an important game to remain in championship. And I think we had a red card at the beginning of the game, so we had 10 Stockport County players against Queen's Park Rangers, and we had to win this game to stay in championship. So we won.
We never made it easy for ourselves. We never made it easy.
Yeah. You're not wrong. So we won 3-0 with a good player. You say Kevin Cooper, Shefty Cookie, Mike Flynn, and more and more. So Shane Nicholson, Shane Nicholson had a red card at the beginning of the game. I remember.
Shane. Shane.
Yeah,
Come on.
Oh, yeah, two red cards. Yeah, exactly. He was a very good guy and good player, good left foot. And I remember my Preston goal in FA Cup.
Yeah, that's the one I was remembering.
Yeah, I remember I closed my eyes when I shot. To be fair. So
no way.
Yeah.
No,
so
you didn't.
I just saw the end of the when the ball went in the goal. So yeah, I remember because I wasn't. I mean, a tackling midfield player, so I don't score loads of goals. So I remember this one because it was a great goal for me, a good goal for the team at this moment, because we won at Preston away. And I remember as well my performance with all the team against Sheffield Wednesday at home. I think we won 2-0. I remember, Andy Kilner had to win this game to stay our manager, and all the team wanted to win this game for him, and we did it. 2-0. I think Shefki scored 2 goals again. So yeah, loads. 3.5 is it's massive in a football career, and Stockport stay. I don't have a Stockport tattoo, but stay in my heart for life.
We can arrange that, if you want to come to Stockport. I've got a couple of guys. I want to ask you.
I had to ask my wife first, Chris.
She'll be fine with it. I want to ask you about the manager situation, because Andy Kilner, very, very popular guy around Stockport. He'd been there as a player, loved by the fans. But came back as a manager, started really well. What was he like to work with through your time there? Because obviously you then went on to play under Carlton Palmer, and I'll ask you about Carlton in a moment. I imagine those two managers are different behind the scenes, to put it one way. What was it like working with Andy?
Oh, it was great. To be fair, I like to work with Andy. He gave me opportunity, and we had good results. We had good team at the beginning, and but now I'm chairman of a club in championship, quite similar. So I know the difficulties to manage a team like Stockport or Chamois Niortais. You have to sell players, your best players. I remember when I came first time in the team, and I think 6 months later we lost 6 or 7 players. Our best player, Jan Mo, Carlo Nash, Kevin Cooper, I think left the next year after. Tony Dinning, Ian McIntosh. You see, I remember, and we lost half of the team after 6 months because the club has to sell players for economic reasons. Now I understand that, because I have to do the same thing. So it was not easy for Andy, for Carlton, for everyone to manage this team, because every time if a player was doing well, you have to sell him quickly because you have to make some money. So it's not, I think if we had kept the team when I came for at least 1 year, we could have done lot better. I guess even playoff, I'm sure. We had good.
It's unfortunately a story that has come up a few times in these Legend series about keeping this team together and that team together. Let's move on to Carlton Palmer then. And I don't think I would do anyway, but I don't want to talk badly of Carlton in any way. What I found interesting was when I was doing my research for this conversation, I googled Karim Fradin, Stockport County, to see what came up, to see what articles came up. And do you know what the top 2 articles were? The top 2 articles that came up were Carlton Palmer on both occasions. One of them saying Karim Fradin has got to work harder in training. He's got to work harder. He's got to put more effort in. But the second one said Karim Fradin is such a good player. When we miss him for a couple of games, when he comes back, it's like a new signing every time. So that to me says Carlton Palmer and yourself had this relationship where, I don't know, was it love-hate? Did you have this terrific understanding where you could be honest with each other? What was that like?
Yeah, be honest. Yeah, at first was quite difficult because Carlton came and with his ideas, his management, his way to manage his team. He wanted to recruit new players. He wanted a fresh air. I can understand when a new manager is coming, you have to put your team like you want to be. I had a contract. 2 years time, I remember, and I wanted to stay in Stockport again. I like this club. I like my family was good in Stockport living, in Manchester's living. We really like this area. So I was not ready to leave. I wanted to play in this team to show the new manager Carlton I can play for this team and I can be an important player for his team. So yeah, at the beginning it was quite difficult because he wanted to have a new players and to put a new team together. So, but at the end we went down to League One. I stayed 1 year and I left and to come back to Championship in France. And but I mean, it's quite difficult to criticize a manager because things didn't go well for Carlton. That's shame. But it's not easy. It's not easy work to manage a team. I can tell you that because I changed few managers for the last few years, so it's not easy. It's not easy to manage a team.
Now you have this perspective, and you've put that so well. Can I just say, by the way, Karim, you put it really kind of worded it really well, and I think there'll be a lot of people who, over the course of time, will look back at that time and kind of understand that it was a difficult spell for the club. But now you've been in that position where you are the chairman, and if results look a little bit iffy or if a player is being sniffed around by another club or whatever, you have to make these decisions. And all of a sudden, you're on the other end of that. Do you look back at those times and think it is a hard business, football? But at Stockport, I get the impression that the majority of your memories are good ones.
Yeah. I mean, I still follow Stockport result. Jim is the manager. Now I play with Jim Gannon. He's a good guy and a good manager. I remember a few seasons ago, they play a playoff in Wembley final. Yeah, they won the playoff. Yeah. So that shame because I think Stockport had. I think they could or they can play in championships if the project was. I mean, how to say? It's always a question of money, I mean, I put money. I put money in my club. Brendan Elwood put money in his club. It was a good chairman as well, Brendan. But football clubs cost money. That's for sure.
Good money after bad, I've heard, is a term that comes up a
that's a
lot.
shame not to watch Stockport in Championship, at least in League One, because the stadium. I like the stadium. I like Stockport fans. I think there is a place in Stockport, in Manchester area, for professional football. Maybe they'll come back. They'll come back in the next few years. You have someone, to put a project for 3, 4, 5. The next 3, 4, 5 next years. It can be long time, but you have to recover to come back to professional football. So and to find people who wants to invest money.
Yeah, it certainly looks like County have found that man. I mean, the takeover went through a few months ago. County certainly look a lot healthier moving forward now. You mentioned Jim Gannon there. Just run through me any memories that you might have of Jim, and as a player or as a person.
I think he had, I think he on the pitch he was still as a coach, you know. Very disciplined.
Disciplined. Yeah.
Discipline. Speaking to the other players, he was a leader. So I'm not surprised to see him as a coach now, and he's doing a good job. On the pitch he was already a coach, to be fair.
Do you think you will ever get to come and revisit Stockport and maybe come to a game or two?
Oh yeah, definitely. No. Yeah, I came over a few times in Manchester. I got good friends. So I went 2 years ago to Manchester, and I can come back anytime, Chris, to watch a game, to show my kids.
You've got to show the kids. You've got to show the kids. You've got to show the kids where you played. You've got to show them a couple of goals on YouTube. I'm sure you've done just that. What are the chances? Do you think of a friendly when the pre-season doors are back open?
Oh, is my team?
Yeah.
I won't be easy with COVID. Yeah, you say COVID.
Yeah. Well, COVID. Once that's passed.
Okay.
Let's continue this conversation further down the line. I think that'd be wonderful, Karim. Listen, Karim, it has been an absolute treasure speaking to you. If I'm honest, I didn't think I'd be able to track you down. I'm surprised that I was able to get you to come on the show, and I cannot thank you for coming on enough. If I could just ask you finally, if you have a message for the Stockport County fans, because I can tell you, as one of the radio hosts that works with the club, when we're talking in conversation either on air during games or podcasts, your name does come up. It does come up in conversation with the fans. It's always in a favourable way. If I could ask you to pass a message on to those guys who still talk about Karim Fradin.
Just thank them for all this good time. I remember when I was training before the game, when my wife and my kids, my little boy, were coming to the ground to watch the game, they were singing a song. So I knew when my wife and my kid were arrived to the stadium. So it was always a great moment and a lot of support. I'm still sad to when I left the club. They were relegated in League One, and you don't like when you're a player to leave a club when the club is relegated. So that's the bad part of my Stockport story. But it was great fun, great part of my life. It was amazing, to be fair, amazing.
Well, it's been amazing to have you on tonight. Karim Fradin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So, Chris, the word that stood out for me at the start of that interview was flair. As you say, I think you didn't mean that County haven't had many flair players over the years. You just meant none with that je ne sais quoi. Very rarely coming from abroad and bringing that kind of continental flair to the table.
Yeah, well, I mean that's it exactly that. That we had the buzz when we signed Louis Cavaco. It was kind of elongated a little bit when we signed Kiko Chirana. We then had Karim Fradin, who for me was just such a quality player. And then it was kind of lived out a little bit afterwards with Chef Kikuchi and Jarko Viersen. But Karim was the one for me that was like, he was the standout player. I mean, Louis Cavaco had a cult status about him, if you like. He was very, very good footballer. He was the first one of like these overseas, loath to say the word foreign import, but you know, it's just coming from overseas flair player. So Louis was the first one, but I think Karim had that experience of playing at a high level, slotted in the game. He was just a fantastic player to watch. And as with a lot of players around that time, and it was almost a generic thing to say, foreign players, they're lazy. They're not as, you know, they're not as up to speed with the English game. Well, Karim addressed that in that piece there. Do you know what I mean? As did Louis a few weeks ago when he was saying it does take you a few weeks to get in there and to get that kind of rhythm going. But to be a player in the English league is something special, and you work all your life for. So we have two real cult heroes for me, Louis Cavaco and Karim Fradin. And it was a pleasure to have Karim on and speak about his time at the club.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is a cliche, but it's also one of those cliches that kind of happens to be true. In those days, it was much rarer for a lower league club to have a foreign player, especially a foreign flair player, and one that was brought in from abroad. So foreign import in those days really meant something. So it is a cliche, and it's a lot different these days. But still, if somebody of that level, of that quality, came from a club abroad to county, that would still be quite a big thing. So it's one of those cliches that actually, is true.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. What I did really like about the interview, it was almost like, okay, so we're in lockdown at the moment. There's no traveling abroad. There's none of the things that we may have been accustomed to in recent years. But it gave me that feel of just like sitting in some fancy bar or cafe, speaking to one of the locals about their passion for sport, and you had a crossover, usually just by sport. If you get speaking to someone on holiday about football or boxing or whatever your sport is, well, with Karim, it was like we both had this passion for county. He's got this amazing knowledge of the game, given that he's been a player at such a high level in different countries. He's now a chairman of an equivalent of a championship club over here. His knowledge of the game is fantastic. The fact that he can then go into the realms of Stockport County's history, speaking about Andy Kilner, Jim Gannon, Carlton Palmer, all those kind of eras, all those kind of times, which, let's be honest, the Andy Kilner / Carlton Palmer era, people look back on, and there are a lot of negatives that people can pick out. And I think given the vast amount of time that has passed since then, a lot of water has gone under the bridge. And I think if you speak to Carlton these days, it's probably a very different Carlton Palmer than it was back then. But it's just interesting hearing that insight, and in such a setting where he's got the setting sun behind him in France, and it's he's talking in this lovely accent about the depth of the level of the game that you or I could only hope to achieve one day. It was a real treat. And yeah, maybe as a player, like you say, as Carlton Palmer said in that evening news article that we dug out, he was a little lazy from time to time, or at least he certainly came across that way in training.
Well, yeah, it wasn't a great time for county, as you said, but some unwelcome things happened. But that's why you do interviews now, because now, with the benefit of hindsight, there's things that Carlton couldn't say at the time. There's things that Karim couldn't say at the time, and now you have the benefit of hindsight. So always makes for a fascinating interview. Well done, sir. Another great one in the can. Are you going to let us know who's next, or is it still? Or what's up there?
What do you think?
I think an old friend.
Mate, look at this. I've got a whole bag full of them up here.
Yeah,
it's been waved.
You got chunky arms.
What are you calling me there?
Bingo wings.
I saw you doing this. No, listen, we've got great interviews throughout the summer. It's something that obviously you and I are working quite hard to keep ticking over, but it is doing, and it's a project that looks to keep going and going. So fear not, there will be some cool names joining us next week and the weeks after.
Cool.